So, Mary, thank you so much. It's my absolute pleasure to have you as part of this podcast, Road to IIT 2026 and beyond. I'm Shashi
Yes,
Tripathi. I am the chair of the
yes,
Global Conference, and I have Mary with me, and Mary is a phenomenal human being. She's an amazing singer. She's a community builder. She has sang in front of global leaders, including Prime Minister Modi, President
yes,
Trump, George Bush, and many other presidents and the world leader. She
yes,
called President Trump as a friend, Prime Minister Modi as a friend.
yes,
A
yes.
unique ability to have for someone to call these two world leader friends. So it's my honor to have you, Mary, as part of this podcast.
Well, it's so nice to see you, Shashish, and thank you for having me. I tell you, I am so excited about your conference, and it's wonderful to see how you assemble the world yourself into a beautiful few days, talking about the most important issues facing not just America, but certainly facing the world. And so, thank you for having me to visit with you today, and looking forward to our conversation.
You so much, Mary. And our global conference will be held in Long Beach,
Yes.
California, from April 22nd through 25th of 2026.
Mhm.
And Mary, we have an honor that Mary will be singing national
Yes.
anthem and patriotic songs both day.
Yes.
You will be
Yes.
starting Mary with us. And those, by the way, who have not seen Mary sing, please go visit her website or better, come join the
That's
conference.
right. Come to the conference. That's the better idea.
Exactly. And our website is IIT2026.org. Go register yourself and love to see you on site there in Long Beach,
Yes.
California. So, Mary,
Yes.
tell us more to the world who Mary Milben is.
Well, I tell you, when I get asked this question, I try to keep it simple. We are all just sinners saved by God's grace, and I just very lucky to be born into a family and have parents, a mother specifically who raised four kids as a single parent, who showed us the world, who threw us into opportunities, challenged us into opportunities to not only see the world, but find a God given path that would impact the world. And I can say that is certainly indicative of myself and my siblings and my family. And so I am just, I really am. A little country girl, I'd say, from Oklahoma. That's where I am born and raised, and I love talking about Oklahoma because there's something very special about the Midwest, and certainly how the Midwest is the heart and the soul of what I believe the heart and the soul of America. So much of what happens and comes out of the Midwest impacts how we eat every day and how we worship every day, and how we see how we shape communities certainly every day. And there's so much that happens in the Midwest that certainly impacts the world. Certainly when you talk about agriculture and farming and those types of things. So my origins certainly hail from Oklahoma in the Midwest, and went to college at the University of Oklahoma, and that was certainly the origins of where I really started to learn about American politics and certainly geopolitics at a very high level. And Oklahoma certainly is what introduced me to Washington D.C. and Washington D.C. to the world. And so that's a quick 30,000 feet scale of who Mary is. I think when people ask me that, what I want people most to know about who is Mary Milben, it's I'm a person who loves God. I'm a woman of faith. I'm a person who loves my country, and that's certainly evident in dedicating almost 20 years of a career in life to singing and celebrating the greatest country in the world, which I believe. And I'm a person who loves people. I believe that. the greatest creation on earth is you and me. God created us in his image, and he created his best creation was how he created humanity. And so I love God, I love America, I love people, and I'm just blessed that I have a life that's dedicated certainly to God, to country, and to the great people of our country and this world.
So, right before we started this podcast, I'm going to ask this question, Maddie. Uh,
Yes,
you have the unique talent to call Prime Minister Modi and President Trump a friend.
yes,
And I have seen your messaging, and you run this such a fine line in aligning these two world leaders.
yes.
How do you do that? What capabilities, skills, or any glimpse of your conversation with these two world leaders you want to share with us?
Well, I can't divulge the
Yes.
conversations that intimately that I may have, but I'll tell you, first of all, it's a great honor. And I'm very humbled to honestly say that both President Trump and Prime Minister Modi are my friends. I've had the great pleasure to perform for President Trump for over 10 years now. I was started with the president in 2016. In fact, my first performance for the president was the 2016 inauguration for one of his victory celebrations. Countless fundraisers and events across America, certainly through the 2016 presidency at the White House, the 2020 election, both 2020, 24 conventions, aggressively with the president, certainly during the 2024 election season. So it's been a beautiful and long road with the president, and I'm very honored to have been a part of his victories both in 2016 and 2024, and certainly he and the First Lady and the First Family. So it's been a great journey with the prime minister. I was first introduced to the prime minister when I was a presidential appointee for President Bush. Before I got into entertainment, I worked for the Bush White House, Bush 43. And at the time, the prime minister was the governor or was a leader in Gujarat. And so that was my first indirect, I would say, introduction or knowing about the prime minister. Certainly in my interfaces performing for 5 consecutive presidents, and certainly my intimacy with President Trump, that thrust me into a relationship with the prime minister and beautiful moments singing for him and a great intimacy with India and the Indian people all across the world. And I'm very grateful. I am a big fan of the prime minister. I think he is absolutely, as I've said a million times publicly, the best leader for India. And he's doing extraordinary things there in India that is absolutely shaping the world. And so I am fortunate to have these two great men as my friends. And they know that I tell the truth. Both of them do. So, so I do my best to try to encourage their healthy relationship as it pertains to the U.S. India relationship. I know there's been some tough times here, certainly as it relates to the tariff conversation. But at the end of the day, what both leaders know is that we need each other. Our countries need each other in order for not only the United States and India to do its job in benefiting the people, but the United States India relationship is vital. The health of this relationship is vital for the world, and so some of the most important conversations in geopolitics certainly look to the United States India relationship, and so that's the role that I have taken with these two great men who lead two of the greatest countries in the world is to try to be honest with them and encourage a healthy relationship. And certainly, what I am doing now, and I think we're on a better pathway. I think certainly
I
the
totally
president.
agree.
Yes, I've certainly encouraged and glad to see that the president has made some changes in his personnel on who is doing the bidding and the conversation with the prime minister and the prime minister's team. I was encouraged to see Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who we all love and is a great representation of the president's administration and certainly a great diplomat himself. I think that he is the best choice and the right choice to be leading the conversations forward with the prime minister's team to try to find some reconciliation and a deal that will certainly bring our countries back to a healthy position. So I'm glad to see that.
No, thank you so much, Mary. And I watch your post, and you are so amazingly talented. This is a tough
Well, well,
topic, and you run this such a good job. By the way, you do such
Well,
a good
thank
job.
you. Well, I
Yeah.
tell you, one thing I learned certainly in my origins coming up in student leadership and, in college and certainly working for a White House and being around five presidents, the best diplomacy is honesty. The best diplomacy is thinking about what is best for everyone at the table. I've been blessed to not only sing and be a part of geopolitics as a singer, but I've been so blessed to wear the hat of cultural diplomacy and understanding how culture and soft power and these kinds of conversations really do make a difference in the outcomes of how we all do business together across the world. And so I think in my role, I try to be a voice and a light in helping to remind leaders about our commonalities as human beings, as humanity, our commonality certainly as two democracies, the oldest and strongest democracies, and our commonalities of what we shared as values that will contribute to the uplifting of our countries and the people, and certainly the stability that is necessary across the world. And so, I say a lot of prayers, Shashish, because not I'm in a very unique position. So
You
I
are.
do. I
Yep.
say a lot of prayers and I ask the Lord, give me the wisdom and understanding so that I can be the best representation, to two of the most powerful leaders in the world. But certainly, in my capacity as an artist, how I can be an encouraging voice to leaders across the world as we want to see everybody healthy and well. Yeah.
Correct. No, thank you, Mary. And in the conference, we have a whole track dedicated to global connect, so geopolitical issues.
Yes.
And what's happening in front of our eyes today is very relevant,
Yes.
and how the world is shaping up with all these policies being designed. And
Yes.
certainly, you are
Yes.
playing a very important role, Mary. Once again, we are so excited. I personally am very excited to hear you out. I'm pretty sure I will get goosebumps when I hear you do the national
Oh,
anthem for both countries in front of 2,500 audience on April
yes.
23rd. Share a little bit more. What are you planning to share? Even a glimpse on 23rd, 24th, 25th.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited. What an honor it will be to lift the anthems of two countries that I certainly love deeply. And in this 250th anniversary here in America, it will certainly be just an honor to raise the anthem and unify our hearts as we celebrate the greatness of our country. And it will be such a great honor to follow that with the Indian national anthem, an anthem that I have come to personally love because it speaks so much about the beauty and the landscape of India. It speaks so much about the heart and the soul of the Indian people, and it's been such an honor to be able to sing the national anthem, the Indian national anthem, for the Prime Minister in various events across America and the world. So, looking forward to that, and then sharing some other patriotic music of both countries. I'm so looking forward to being able to share some of the great classics like God Bless America and America the Beautiful that that certainly speak to
Love that.
the tapestry and the heart of America, and certainly those patriotic songs of India that celebrate the pride and the nationalism and the heartbeat of the Indian people. And so and this will be my first time. In fact, your event will be the first time I present and sing some of those patriotic songs of India. So if you want to hear it live, come to the conference.
Exactly. No, thank you so much, Mary. We are blessed.
Yes,
We are
yes,
very happy to
yes.
have you part of our conference.
Thank you.
Uh, and Mary, I mean, I shared this. Your career is pretty uniquely blends music,
Mhm.
patriotism, public diplomacy,
Um,
singing, connecting with all this world leader, not just the president and prime minister. You have connected with so many world leaders of business.
yeah.
Looking back, what moments most clearly shaped your sense of purpose, who Mary is today?
It's a great question. I think I think the moment that I discovered, or some of the moments that started to be revelatory to me, that what God was asking me to do was more than just music, that it was positioned at a very sacred level of influence, was when I started to see this career in life of singing America's national anthem and patriotic music and uplifting our country uh, become of interest to world leaders across the world. One thing I've learned, certainly, that I believe everyone understands, is that music is a universal language, that you can go anywhere, any part of the world, and, you can hear a song or an orchestral piece, and it move everyone the same way. Music has that power to connect us all and move us in a similar way. I would say the same thing about patriotism. That patriotism is a universal language, that you can go
Correct.
anywhere in the world, and when people put their hand on their heart or salute at the top of their forehead, there is a sense of unity and energy and commonality that happens no matter what language, no matter what culture. And so I started to see that in a very powerful way when this career of singing America's national anthem and patriotic music began to translate into a global career of singing anthems of other countries and replicating that same energy and observances, certainly across the world. And that's when I knew, to be honest, that this was bigger than me, which is important. You
Yep.
should be in a life or profession that is bigger than you, because then you get into a realm where you are doing the business of God. You are in a realm where divinity has taken over and is propelling you into areas. It's a very humbling moment. It's a very humbling feeling, and I certainly strive every day to stay in a posture of humility so that I can be used by God in those great ways. And so I think that was those moments, singing for our United States presidents was certainly a very humbling and incredible. Those moments were incredible. It was even more, I would say, extraordinary or incredible when I was able to do that on a global level. It's one thing to influence 400 million people in America. It's different to influence 1.5 billion people in India and billions of people across the world. When you start to get into that realm, uh, it should humble you. It should also make you more aware of the responsibility that you've been
Yeah.
given by God to be a good steward of your platform and a good steward, being an ambassador for God and an ambassador for humanity. And so, yeah, I hope that answers your question. But I think those
Yes.
moments were very impactful to having a better understanding of what God was calling me to do globally. Yeah.
So on the same line of thinking, you have interacted with so many powerful people in the world. Um, I don't need to list, but
No, no,
uh,
no.
but when you interface with these men and women on a world stage, what are some of the common theme you see in these leaders? And they are driving. I mean, you talked about it's not easy to drive 1.4 billion people or even 330 million people in US. Um, do you see any common theme amongst these world leaders?
Yes, there are some common, I think you have to just remember that whether you're a regular citizen like you and I or a world leader that's been fortunate to occupy a level of influence in a country or a company or what have you,
Mhm.
we're all pretty similar. We all breathe the same air. We've all eaten pizza one day in our life or gone to
Exactly.
Walmart for a midnight trip. We all do some of the same things. And I
Uh-huh.
think, that's what I try to remember when I meet world leaders and certainly of different cultures and what have you, that, we're all very similar. And even saying that with a great respect and reverence for, those leaders of countries, certainly our president here, I try to bring in an essence when I'm with those leaders, a reminding essence that we're all just sinners saved by grace, that we've all been bestowed a great grace and opportunity to make a difference in the world. And as long as we all collectively, citizens and world leaders, remember where we come from and let that certainly impact how we help. How we help others, and certainly how we lead those areas or countries for which we are afforded the opportunity, then we can do a lot of great things, good things in the world to help a lot of people. And so I just try to look at everybody the same, even with a reverence for certainly hierarchy and a reverence for title and a reverence for, whoever it may be, world leader or not. I try to look at everybody the same. That's how God looks at all of us the same. He looks at all of us as
Very
his
important
children.
point. That's an
He look
excellent
he
point you're
he
making.
does. He looks at all of us the same, whether you're the president or the prime minister of a country, or you and I as regular citizens, or what have. He looks at all of us the same. And to be very honest, that's how we should look at each other, and have a respect and a love for each other, no matter the station, no matter the title, no matter the zip code. We should look at each other the same. And if we do that, then we can really do a lot of good in the earth that impacts a lot of people. Yeah.
Very well said. Now, very well said. I'm going to incorporate that messaging in part of my conversation with other people. It's very,
Yes.
very.
Everybody you meet, you should tell them that, because that is the truth. I think so much of what we're seeing in the world today, I'll say in America, across the world, where there's tensions or misunderstanding or what have you, is because we don't look at people the way God sees people. And if we look through the eyes of God, if we look through his eyes and his lens, then we will see the world differently. We'll see each other differently, and it will challenge and encourage us to lead differently. That's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, no, on the same similar line of thinking, Mary, I mean,
Mhm.
you are a woman, and you have done a wonderful job navigating the path. Traditionally, now we see more and more women coming into business and politics, but
Yes.
traditionally it's somewhat male-dominated
True.
society. We, in our conference, we are trying to encourage more women to come, more women to speak, be part of a panel, be attend the conference.
Mhm.
Um, any learning you have for women to navigate this society, and what challenges you face and how do you navigate that, and any lesson learned or messaging you want to pass to women who are navigating different types of job, um, be it politician, be it business leader, be it just the plain working for a company? I know I'm asking
Sure.
a broad question, but I
No,
think you're
no.
a great person to answer that question.
Well, I think the first thing is, I certainly won't answer this with any kind of discomfort or distaste for men. I love men. I say that, I say that appropriately, but God created a man and a woman for a reason, and there are roles and responsibilities and essence that a man carries and a woman carries, and
Mhm,
that is important in the
mhm,
context of how we shape our communities and countries and the
mhm,
world. And so
mhm.
I definitely am not one of those voices that is, a feminist or pro women only. That's not me. I very much uh, honor the role that and the priestly role that certainly men play in the earth. And so I just want to say that up front, because I know there's a lot of energies encouraging women to have that kind of you know that kind of stance when they are in male dominated environments. And that's certainly, to be very honest, I love being the only woman at the table. I love being the only woman in the room, because when I walk into a room and sit at a table, I know people are going to listen. I know I can turn a head real quick. No, I'm kidding. But I love being the only woman at the table in the room, because I think women, we bring a very different perspective,
Yes, you
and
are
a
right.
necessary perspective and energy into sometimes male dominated spaces. We sometimes have a lighter touch. We're
Mhm,
nurturers
mhm,
by creation and trade, so we know how to nurture situations and certainly take a step back sometimes and give a bit more of a nurturing, holistic understanding to problems and conflicts. And so the traits and energies and the essence that women bring into male dominant spaces, I am very encouraged to see that a lot of male dominated environments are recognizing that and embracing that. And so, to toot the horn of my two dear friends that we spoke about earlier, President
mhm,
Trump and Prime Minister Modi, I give a tip of the hat to both of them, because they're both leaders who certainly have elevated women and encouraged women in certainly places of leadership. From President Trump, who certainly put in the first female chief of staff in the White House, to
mhm,
I think a record number of women serving in his cabinet in any White House. I think that is remarkable and honorable. You can look at Prime Minister Modi, who certainly paved the way for President Murmu to be the first, certainly
mhm.
female president in that regard, and all of the women that have been amplified and uplifted and positioned in India. So I think that you have those two great leaders who are great examples, and other leaders of countries who are recognizing the value that women do play in areas of leadership. And I'll certainly. Quote my father that behind every good man is a great woman. And
Yep.
so and I'm sure you can attest to that as well. And so I think that it's important. I think what has helped me certainly navigate those environments that perhaps have been more male dominated is just to be myself, be yourself. I would say that to any
Mhm,
woman watching. You should never feel like you have to, take on any kind of masculine auras, or not wear colors, or what, all of those ridiculous things that may influence how you behave, or who you become in environments that may have an absence of women. You should always be yourself. You should always bring the femininity and the energy and the joy and the essence in which God created women to be into those spaces. And just watch. You'll be a greater impact being yourself and being the DNA for which you were created to be, than trying to take on any kind of masculinity, or those, I think, ridiculous things that sometimes are encouraged, or challenged or pushed for women to do. And so, uh, you know, anyways, I hope that answered your question.
No,
But
it does. And I will touch on this. You're absolutely right
yeah,
on this part. And I love the way you trace it back, everything to God. I really
absolutely.
do. And this comment you just made about God created men and women with
Yeah,
some different role in this world. And you're absolutely right that our society somehow is placing, especially on women, different role and expectation. And
yeah,
not everyone, but some are leaning towards that
yeah,
and not being themselves. causing this stress to themselves. So I'm
Yes.
glad you brought this point that God has created men and women for a role and purpose. And as
Yes.
long as we follow those purpose, I think we'll be happy.
And I'm gonna tell you, you're exactly right. What a great way to say that. I think on one point, if you look at the scripture, certainly I'm a Christian woman, so I certainly a lot of the scriptures are applicable to how I look and see life and live life. And the scriptures, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is what it talks about in Genesis and the Holy Bible, and
Mm-hmm.
how God took Adam, who he created first. So he created man first, and he laid Adam down, and out of Adam and a rib out of Adam, he created Eve. And
Mm-hmm.
and there's great symbolism and understanding of that conversation biblically of creation that certainly applies to how we should honor and respect this beautiful understanding in marriage of male and female, and how God created a woman specifically for Adam as a helpmate, to come in and help with the garden and help with the leading of this terrain that they were given by God. There's some wonderful conversations in the scripture that can definitely and certainly apply to our everyday life as men and women, and should be. And I think the other point I would say is I learned at a very early age from my mother and grandmother, the great women in my family, to the great mentors, female mentors that I had, all of the years growing up, even today, is that femininity is an element of diplomacy. There is something very genuinely beautiful and effective about femininity in spaces of leadership and diplomacy. And so, one thing I always encourage women and young girls, especially that are looking to go into areas of leadership across the world, is to embrace your femininity, because many times that essence can be a deal breaker at a table or in a room where, all the men at the table or in the room can't find consensus. A woman and her femininity, and collectively with her intelligence and understanding on how to impact a certain situation, can sometimes be the deal breaker. I have seen this firsthand, and so I certainly always encourage women to embrace femininity. It's a means of diplomacy many times. Yeah.
Yep. No, very well said. And I really wish that people watch this segment, what you just talked about, especially women. And I would say even men should watch what you just shared,
It
man.
should.
Amazingly,
that's
amazingly well put together
that's
by
right.
you.
That's right.
Uh, let's talk about a little bit about the current world and technology, how AI is shaping our life. And I know you are talking, you are reading. In your perspective, the global view, our community, our society, how
Mhm.
artificial intelligence is shaping the future.
It's a great question. To be very honest, some of this AI stuff, it terrifies me. you know, because it is a territory which is unknown to us all, but
Hmm.
it has its positives and it has its negatives. I think certainly if I'm speaking from a position as an artist, it has. I think in some ways it's negatively impacting the entertainment and creative community, because it's removing processes that require our emotions and brains and hands and everyday interactions of storytelling, and putting it in the hands of these created technology platforms that lack emotion and lack of sense of humanity and lack
Yep.
the everyday interactions that are organic to the creative process. And so I think that that's certainly something that I feel that a lot of artists are starting to vocalize, that AI has some advantages, but overall, we're seeing some of the dangers of AI, how it is taking away the humanity and the emotions, and certainly the beauty of the creative process that comes from within. You can't replace how a song is written from the emotions of an experience. You can't replace the interactions of two human beings on screen. I don't care how many robots you create. They're never going to take the place of two human beings exchanging storytelling on a screen, or two artists and musicians performing live on a stage. There's no robot, there's no kind of AI program that will ever replace what an audience feels when
Correct.
human innovation and human creativity and the emotions that come from real people, what that does to us. So I would say that's the side that I talk about, or the conversation I talk about a bit more when it comes to AI, because I hope that with the positives and the discoveries that AI is bringing, that it doesn't replace what is most important in human connection and human creativity, and the process of how we create, that comes from your soul, that comes from your
Hmm.
spirit, that
Hmm.
comes from the genius of the mind and brain that God created. That all has significant purpose, and we have decades of examples of how we never had technology or AI. We just had the human experience, the human mind, the soul and the spirit of the human body that created and produced some of the most extraordinary songs, orchestral pieces, artists, paintings and sculptures, and all came from inside here. There's no AI bot or anything that can replace that. And so I hope that all these AI creators who I love, I have many friends in this world, and I certainly honor, great friends like Elon, and great friends like, other that are doing, extraordinary things in the AI and robotic type world. But I just hope that all of these creators in AI don't abandon the value of what what the human mind, human emotions, certainly can create. Yeah.
Very well said. In the conference or in general, those who are listening this, there will be young leaders, there will be technologists,
Sure.
entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and you are a great visionary. I mean, I have seen your career right from President Bush and where you are today.
Thank you.
In your view, what are some key skills which are going to matter for next decade for these people, entrepreneur, business leaders?
Sure.
What do you think are key skill sets which we need to possess over the next decade?
I think one of the greatest, I would say, skills, or perhaps more deeply, one of the important virtues that the next generation of business leaders and world leaders,
Hmm.
innovators, uh, empathy, you know,
Empathy.
empathy, to create, to lead, you have to understand. And I feel in many ways there is a lack of empathy in areas of leadership across the world, in conversation and boardrooms, in the process of creating and innovating, uh, even in the conversation of technology as we progress very quickly. All of these areas require leaders, creators, innovators who have a sense of empathy, of understanding, because this is a very big world, and you're dealing with different cultures and different languages and different essences of people. And you won't accomplish or be successful across a global terrain if you are not leading and creating with a sense of understanding and empathy. And when that happens, then you're able to come to the table, be in rooms with a diversity of cultures and languages and religions and people, and do what's good for mankind. That should always be at the forefront of whatever we're creating, whatever we're building, whatever we're leading. how are we creating, building, and leading for mankind? Not just my country, not just my region, not just my zip code or street. How am I creating and building and leading to impact the world? And that absolutely requires empathy and understanding of people, no matter the differences. And so I think if we are producing young people and young leaders who are going to take over, we're going to be working for them, soon. If we're like your daughter, if we're, and I know your daughter is definitely, because of the essence of who you are, I know she's a beautiful, empathetic young leader. If we are creating young leaders with that kind of compass and path and understanding, then we're going to be okay. We won't get too far. I would say too far. And again, I think that is not only a skill set; it's a virtue that you inherit from God. Kind of what we talked about earlier, how God sees us all the same because we're all
I
His
love
children.
that. I
We're all His children. He sees us all the same, and even more so. Jesus sent his son, Jesus, on this earth, and he was an empathetic leader. He could sit down with prostitutes and tax collectors and all kinds of folks who were quote unquote shunned during the biblical days. And he could sit with the Pharisees and leaders of the day, or he could sit with just regular everyday people. He is one of the greatest leaders, personally for me, that carries the greatest example of empathy and understanding, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what mistakes you have made. And I think that we need to use Jesus as a blueprint, as a model to how we are creating and building and leading across the world.
very, very well said. My next question is, what kind of legacy do you hope your work leaves behind? Not as a singer, not as an artist, but as a global citizen, Mary.
It's a great question. It's interesting, Shashish, because I've been thinking a lot about
Yep.
legacy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you do something for almost 20 years. That's a lot of time.
I
And
know.
and so I've as this new year started, I kind of had a little meeting with myself and God to say, okay, let's do a little evaluation of what we've done, Lord, and where we're going, and um, I've been thinking a lot about legacy. And I think most importantly, what I would love for people to say or remember when I have gone to heaven, which is the ultimate goal. My ultimate goal beyond anything earthly is to get to heaven and hear the Father say, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." That's what I want to hear. And as long
Yeah.
as that happens, then all of this stuff on earth and all of these accolades and all of this whatever maybe will mean something. But that's my long-term goal when it comes to legacy. But I will say I want people to say, that woman, she left it all on stage. She left it all wherever she was asked to serve. And she gave it her all, and she gave it her heart. I think most importantly, I want to be remembered as a kind person, a loving person. I think kindness is the greatest currency in the world. And it's something that I definitely, in this season of my life, talk about a lot because we're living in a very unkind energy right
Yeah.
now in the
Mm-hmm.
country and across the world, and it grieves my heart to see that. So, I work every day to try to take on those fruits of the spirit as we have learned as Christians growing up, those fruits of the Spirit of God, which are love and joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I work very hard every day to challenge myself to at least every day do one of those, if not all, and certainly kindness and love, most importantly. And so I hope to be remembered as someone who was just kind and loving and saw the best in everyone, no matter our differences and no matter no matter where we live. I hope that people say that, she saw the best in everyone. And I certainly want my legacy to be remembered through my children. I'll tell you, my life is slowing down a little bit career wise. People think that when a new year starts, your whole schedule gets bigger and bigger. And I said, no, I'm trying to slow it
Yeah,
down because I
yeah,
certainly have entered a season of life where I desire to be married and to have a family. And I think that is the greatest legacy that you can leave is how you live on through your children.
yep.
And this as a parent, and live on through your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. And so, if there's a piece of my legacy that I am actively working on, that is slowing down a little bit so that I can give God time for those things to happen. So, I hope that answers your question. But yeah.
You did. Very well said, by the way. Extremely well said. What is one fun thing you want to share with us, which we may not know about Mary?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's so many things.
Just one.
One thing that's fun about me, I love to dance. A lot of people would never think that, I mean, like, I love country line dancing. I love
Nice.
techno dancing. I love, I was a dancer in college. Musical theater was one of my degrees in college. And
Uh-huh.
so, I was a tap dance and you know ballroom dancing and jazz and ballet. And so I love now you would never look at me and think I'm a ballerina today. No. But there was a time where I was fit and trim. And my twin sister, I have a twin sister who is still has all of the body and form, but who's an excellent is excellent ballerina and excellent dancer and instrumentalist. So, I would definitely say she was the dancer, the professional dancer in the family. But something fun, I love to dance. And so, if you're close to me in my intimate circles and spaces, if a good song starts playing, it's
You
only
will
about
dance.
30 seconds and I'm on a dance floor somewhere. So,
Very cool, Mary. No, thank you so much,
oh,
Mary. I mean, I learned a lot just in this
yes.
last 40 minutes, Mary. Thank you once again for sharing your wisdom. And I am super thrilled to have you in our global IIT conference, which will be held in Long Beach
Yes.
from April 22nd through 25th. Mary herself, you heard her. She will be there. And our website,
Yes.
IIT2026.org. All kinds of information is there on the website. Mary, once again, sincere thank you.
Oh, it's such a blessing to be with you and all of your viewers, and so looking forward to the conference. And I just pray God's blessings upon you and your family, Shashish, and all of those that are watching. Pray that this is your best year yet for your conference and all of the endeavors that you have been tasked to lead. And to all of those watching, I wish God's blessings upon you and your families. And be kind. You
Be
never
kind.
know. You never know your kindness and words, your smile, your hello, your kind gesture could be the one thing that could change someone's life or save someone's life. And
Correct.
so I hope that's my message, certainly to everyone here today as we exit. Kindness is the best currency. So God
Thank you
bless.
so much, Mary.
God bless you, dear.